Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to be focusing on the character of Pearl, Hester's daughter, in Chapter 8, The Scarlet Letter, A Hope for the Future. Before we talk about Chapter 8, I'd like to start a little bit at the beginning and look at Pearl's character and her interactions with her mother and with Dimmesdale throughout the story. We like to think that all children are innocent, that children are born innocent, that they are not responsible for the sins of their parents. But let's take a look at Puritan culture and how the town treats Pearl in the story. On page 18, it says, her daughter's name was Pearl. She was a pretty child, but a child of many moods. 1 minute bright and happy and loving, the next minute dark and angry. A child of sin, she had no right to play with the children of godly families. And like her mother, she was an outsider. So she is treated as a child of sin, that she bears the guilt of her parents, the shame of her parents. In this chapter, the governor begins to think, as well as the top priest, John Wilson, that maybe Pearl would be better off with another family. And so Hester takes Pearl to go see them and to talk with them, to plead to keep her child. On page 21, John Wilson asked Pearl where she came from. And look at Pearl's response. It's really quite curious. She said, "My mother picked me from the wild rose bush that grows outside the prison door." Even at 3 years old, she's starting to understand that she's not an ordinary child, that somehow she is special or different than the other children. And she lives a rather lonely life, playing to herself. On page 43, we jump forward to the chapter Hester Meets the Enemy, and she's on the beach, and her mother takes an opportunity to talk to Roger Chillingsworth. Pearl is playing by herself, and this is the bottom of page 43. It said, first she had played at the edge of the water. Then she had made little boats out of pieces of wood. Then, seeing some birds feeding on the beach, she had picked up some stones and thrown them until one little gray bird had flown away with a broken wing. That's just one little line there, but it made me so sad to think that Pearl, despite being an innocent child, despite being a child who should be happy and carefree, actually purposefully harms the little bird by throwing a stone at the bird and breaks the bird's wings. Then it said, for her last game, Pearl collected some grass and used it to make a letter A on her chest. Then she hears her mother calling, and she goes to her mother, and at the top of page 44, her mother asks her, my little Pearl, the green letter means nothing on your childish bosom, but do you know why your mother wears it? Pearl replies, smiling, ah, yes, it is for the same reason that the priest puts his hand over his heart. Hester asks, what reason is that? And Pearl replies, I don't know. Mother, what does this scarlet letter mean? Why do you wear it on your bosom? And why does the priest keep his hand over his heart? In chapter 7, now Hester goes to speak with Dimmesdale in the forest, and she takes her daughter with her. And on page 45, we see that the trees were tall and close together. It was a dark forest. But Pearl sees light between the trees, and she says, Mother, the sunshine does not love you. It runs away and hides itself because it is afraid of something on your bosom. She realizes that that scarlet letter is not just a pretty decoration. It's just not a simple letter A that has no meaning, but it has meaning, and that meaning is not good. And because of it, her mother cannot be in the light. She continues and says, "But it will not run away from me, because I do not wear anything on my bosom yet." Notice she says yet. Maybe in the future she may have a scarlet letter, but not yet. Hester responds, "It never will, my child, I hope. Now run away and catch the sunshine." And so I want to move a little bit further now to chapter number 8. And at this point, once again, Pearl has been playing by the river while her mother speaks with Dimmesdale. And then Hester decides it's time for her daughter to really meet Dimmesdale. Hester and Dimmesdale are making a plan to travel together to Europe to bring Pearl with them as a family. And so she calls her daughter over. And let's take a look at what happens. On the bottom of 53, actually at the top of 53, Pearl notices something is different about her mother. It said Pearl did not move. She looked first at her mother with wild, bright eyes, then at the priest. Then she put out her hand and pointed at her mother's bosom. She does not go to her mother. Instead, she begins to scream. And Hester realizes what is wrong. She says to the priest, "I know what is wrong. She is missing something that she has always seen me wearing." It's a scarlet letter. And so Hester asks her daughter to bring her the scarlet letter, and then she puts it back on her bosom. And then at the bottom of 53, she asks her, "Do you recognize your mother now? Will you come to me now?" And then on 55, the child answers, "Yes, I will. Now you are my mother, and I am your little Pearl." Then she gently pulled down her mother's head and kissed her. And then she kissed the scarlet letter too. Pearl then asked the priest, "Does he love us? Will he go back with us, hand in hand, the three of us together into town?" And if you look in the story, this reminds us of what had happened in the chapter A Night on the Scaffold. On page 36, as Pearl is standing on the scaffold with her mother and Dimmesdale, she looked at the priest and asked him, "Will you stand here with Mother and Pearl tomorrow, Mr. Dimmesdale?" And he refused to do that. He refused to do it, to stand with her publicly. So once again on 55, he says, "Will he come to town with us?" "No, not now, dear child," her mother told her. And then on 55, Dimmesdale tries to kiss Pearl. It said, "And when Mr. Dimmesdale kissed her gently on the forehead, she ran down to the river and washed her face again and again until the unwelcome kiss was washed away." And that reminds us of the first time that Dimmesdale had tried to kiss her, and this was back in chapter 3. At that point, at the bottom of 23, Pearl had reached out to Dimmesdale and she had put his hand against her cheek, and Dimmesdale had kissed her forehead, and she had welcomed that kiss then. But now on 55, she refuses his kiss. He will not go with her and her mother into town to publicly claim her as his daughter. So she rejects the kiss. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. I hope that's helped you understand the character of Pearl more. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.